Hills Cop. Way, she fine. Yeah. I remember her.
Me neither.
Like 50 years later. Yeah. What is it? 40 years later?
40?
See, way. From 84.
Oh, shit.
He was distracting. He had a giant thingy in the middle of the forehead. So he was scary. I don't know. Why has he got to be gay, though? I don't understand that.
Why are you gay?
What did it?
What the?
No. I was like, hey, where you been and where you are?
Get the f*** out of here. Somebody else, I said it myself.
Oh my god, to the list. This show we pluck out a name out of our all-time movie watch list, watching a review for review and pleasure of the movie. We're scratching off the list today is a 1984 classic, Beverly Hills Cop. Almost. A freewheeling Detroit cop pursuing a murder investigation finds himself dealing with the very different culture of Beverly Hills.
The first time I saw it, I think it was our uncle rented for us on the VHS. He always rented us movies in the 90s.
I know, but I bet you guys were way too young to be watching it.
Not too. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
In the 90s, yeah.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
That's what y'all do.
He took us to the video store. He picked up some movie. It was cool. The theme song stuck into us,
Your whole Spotify list is movies from the 80s and 90s. Well, I knew of the movie, but I had not actually seen any of it till probably maybe 4 years ago, before I even was doing the list. It was one that I was like, I want to check it out. Okay. And then I liked the first one so much that I just watched the other two.
But Eddie Murphy,
Yeah, of course. I know Eddie Murphy, and I've heard about the movie. I just not actually sat down and watch it, which is the whole purpose of the list, is for me to sit down and watch movies from the all-time watch list. He was stand-up, and he was SNL. He actually turned down Ghostbusters to do this. Would you rather be in an A-tier movie by yourself or an S-tier movie, but have to share it with 3 other guys?
Yeah, I think probably by yourself, I mean, he made a good choice.
Yeah, it's not a bad choice either way. But because I watched them back to back, they all became one movie in my brain, which is what I usually do all the time. Mm-hmm. I mend movies together. So if you're like, I know there's a gay guy somewhere in an amusement park, but I can't remember specific, and the theme song, obviously. So watching it again today was actually kind of fun. Before we get into it, if you could head down there in the comment sections, let us know all your thoughts on the Beverly Hills Cop from 1984, what you think about it, what you thought about it, fandom, fun facts that maybe I don't mention today, anything at all. Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop. Let us know that in the comments. Let's jump right into it. It's produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, which was the first name I recognized in the credits. I'm like, damn, this guy's been in the game forever, man.
He produced a lot of action movies.
Yes, back always.
Yeah.
It starts with a theme that's not the theme. It's a different song, so it caught me off guard for a second. Yeah. I was like, what the hell is this? Yeah. But we in Detroit, and we get a lot of different shots of Detroit. In one of the shots, we see a breakdancing kid who knocks down his sister. Did you notice that one? The whole thing feels very 80s, but we cut to Axel Foley selling Lucky Strikes in the back of a truck.
Yeah.
After some tomfoolery, a cop shows up, and we are already in a chase. And the song to the chase doesn't fit. I don't want to take it anymore. It just doesn't fit. But there's cigarettes all over these streets. I think I prefer older movie car chases than today, because they don't give a shit about no CGI, and they all would make a mess. Yeah. And it's always the same looking car. All the cop cars look the same. All the cars that they use look the same.
I mean, back then they're made of metal. They can crash anything.
Yeah, they crash into anything. There's one stunt where there's a guy in the car still. You could see. You're like, damn. So finally, they catch up to the truck. The cops draw their guns onto Foley, and it's revealed that he's actually a cop. So the man about you, friend Jeff, starts stressing him out.
Get away from me. I'm going to shoot you, all right?
Then the Sarge comes in and gets his ass chewed out. His compa Jeffrey gets some too.
I'm trying to tell you. Jeffrey, this is none of your business.
This is not my locker.
And it's told to us that he's down to his last strike for being reckless and going rogue all the time. And then he says that...
Boss, the chief ain't chew it all out. You still got a little ass there.
Axel, he's like a street cop. He don't give a.
He definitely doesn't follow the rules.
Yeah. He knows the way of the streets. That's what makes him different
from the rest.
Yeah, from the rest.
Then the main theme kicks in when he's heading home. It was composed by Harold Faltermeyer, and the song was called Axel F, which obviously, like you mentioned, became basically a worldwide hit, and is actually referred to as the banana and the exhaust theme because it was supposed to appear in that part. But the song was loved by so many, and it fit perfectly with the context of the rest of the movie that it just became the main theme of the film.
Yeah.
It's great. It's fantastic.
It looks like a sitcom,
Yeah.
It's the same.
Like an old video game music to it. The whole score does.
Yeah.
So Foley gets home and he finds that his friend broke in. His laugh is iconic too.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like Eddie Murphy's natural laugh or if it's his laugh punched up a bit.
I mean, that laugh is iconic for him,
Yeah.
I don't know if he's using the stand-up, but in the movie he uses that. It's
his laugh.
Yeah.
His friend gets out of jail and tells him about his adventures in Beverly Hills and shows him these bonds that he took. And in a very drunken conversation, this leads to what you were saying, that he's a cool cop. They reveal that he had a past where he was like making a mess and stealing cars. And so he's always been a rule breaker. And then his friend took the fall for him one time. And he says that he did it because he loves Axel. So as they head back home after a crazy night out, Axel gets knocked out, get hit from behind. And it's Mike from Breaking Bad. He looks so different, man.
Yeah, with hair.
1,000 times scarier in Breaking Bad.
Think so?
Hell yeah. He's bald. He's just like that, have that same look. And then he does what Mike does from Breaking Bad.
Mike killing Mikey.
Mike killing Mikey, man. It's a pretty PG execution, though. It is a shot in the back of the head, but you don't see nothing come out. You don't see no brains, no blood.
Yeah.
I don't know. It still felt messed up.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't imagine that he's going to shoot him in the head.
No, and he does, and you're like, damn, right? But since the movie's already R-rated, just do another splat. I didn't need it, actually, when I'm thinking about it, but you would expect it now with it being rated R. So Axel wants the case to figure out who killed his compa Mikey, and he's warned by his boss to stay away, and he decides to take a vacation. And again, he's warned to stay away. But it's Axel. He's not going to listen. He goes to Beverly Hills, and I like that he sticks out like a sore thumb with his beat-up car. The car's all beat up, beat to shit. He pulls up to a fancy hotel, and you know he's scheming because he's broke as shit. This was funny when he starts talking about the whole Rolling Stones reporter thing, and then he drops the bomb I wasn't expecting.
I was going to call the article, Michael Jackson is sitting on top of the world, but now I think I might as well just call it, Michael Jackson can sit on top of the world just as long as he doesn't sit in the Beverly Palm Hotel because there's no allowed in there.
Excuse me, sir.
So that's what made it funny to me. He was going one way, and then he drops the N-word and he made it about race, and it went in a different way. You're like, whoa. So, as you would imagine, Eddie Murphy improvised a lot of his dialogue in this movie, and you can totally tell. So he pulls out the race card and gets his suite. And when he heads back out in the streets of LA, he walks by two dudes that are wearing leather outfits. Yeah. A red one and a like a dark blue one. And obviously, Eddie Murphy's famous for having the raw and Delirious outfits. He had already done Delirious, which was the red one. And then Raw didn't come out until 87, I think. So he used the other one. So he heads over to the gallery of his compa mija that Mikey mentioned. And she got a kind of freaky shit out there. But the freakiest thing in the gallery is Serge.
I'm fine. My name is Serge, and how can I help you?
Serge. He's from another sitcom, right?
He basically took this character into another sitcom, and it's kind of like had the same vibe, and developed his own little catchphrase and everything.
Of course not. Don't be ridiculous.
But Serge was cool.
Get the f*** out of here. You know what is it?
$130,000. Get the f*** out of here. No, I cannot. It's serious.
It's such a simple part in the movie. Like, he's not important to the story.
No.
But he's so funny and memorable. Shout outs to Bronson Pinchot. I think I'm saying that name right.
Sell it yesterday to a collector.
Get the f*** out of here. Somebody else, I said it myself.
He was so good. He was actually like imitating like a hairdresser lady that they had or something. There was actually supposed to be two actors to kind of like take his place and do that kind of bit. But he was so good, they decided to get rid of the other actor and give him something else. The other guy that comes in to help, I think that was going to be the other guy.
Okay.
But they just let Bronson do whatever he wants. You go ahead. Take it over. So he meets his mija friend and tells her about Mikey. Way, she fine. I don't remember her.
Me neither.
Where you been and where you are?
Obviously, you research Insta shit.
What is it?
She's kind of old right now.
50 years later. What is it? 40 years later?
40?
Seaway? From 84. I didn't want to say it in the beginning because I don't want all our movies to be like from 1984, but it is.
Shit.
So they get to talking and it's revealed that Victor, the owner of the gallery, is the one that gave Mikey a job. With that information, with no internet, he finds the guy, Axel does, and goes to his building and starts asking him about Mikey. And Breaking Bad Mike is sitting right there just giving him looks, but Axel never saw him because he got KO'd by getting hit in the back of the head.
Yeah. Victor, I think he's like a good villain.
He's very quiet.
Yeah. You remember kind of that kind of villains like the new guy from the Inglourious Basterds? This guy, what's his name?
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
He was distracting. He had a giant thingy in the middle of the forehead. So he was scary, but he was slow. He's a good villain. He didn't say much.
That's kind of villain that have to say much, to intimidate you, to he's hiding something,
So in the conversation, Victor insinuates that it was Detroit who killed him because they're trying to really paint the difference between LA and Detroit. Like LA's nice and shiny and beautiful, and Detroit is all this grungy, nasty violence.
Yeah. Well, they have RoboCop there.
Yeah. Axel starts throwing a fit and he gets thrown out of a window.
Yeah, that was kind of...
I was like, the door's right there.
Yeah.
The seven of you, you could open the door. Nah, let's just throw him out the window and cause property damage for good old Victor. He got the cash. Cops show up and start to search Axel and find a gun on him. And this is like where I realized, like, hey, Eddie Murphy been cursing up a storm way.
Did you see that shit? I know this is bullshit, though, man. I got thrown out of a f***ing window.
And I figure that's the main reason why this movie got an R rating. Because there's like no crazy violence. Like I said, when they pop Mikey, there's no blood.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of like, my chest.
Yeah, there's no kind of gore. Probably the language.
The rated R really comes from the language, I think. So back at the precinct, he meets his two future detective buddies come in to question him. So Eddie Murphy, John Ashton, and Judge Reinhold improvised most of their lines. They got hundreds of outtakes because cast members behind the camera, the director, a lot of people were laughing during their shoots because they were just riffing off of each other. You can totally tell. Axel starts cursing and gets punched. And this is another point of showing the difference between LA and Detroit. The lieutenant comes and offers Foley a chance to sue Taggart for getting punched. And Foley's like, we don't do that in Detroit. Like, we just man up, man. And the lieutenant is played by Ronnie Cox, who was the bad guy from RoboCop, which we've done the video of, and we'll leave it for you right over here. So the boss threatens him again and tells Foley to not investigate. Foley doesn't fess up to what he's doing there, so he gets sent to jail, and Mija bails him out.
Mija friend.
He starts talking about the Victor case with her, and she's kind of defending Victor a little bit because, well...
she's her boss, right?
It's her boss. Foley realizes that the cops are tailing them. They get to the hotel, and he orders room service for them. Then he goes to a young debuting Damon Wayans that's got a bunch of nanos and fruits. Yeah. And gets the nanas to stuff him up the exhaust pipe. I don't know. Why has he got to be gay, though? I don't understand that.
Why are you gay?
So it was first supposed to be a potato.
Okay.
And there was going to be a whole scene of him sneaking in the kitchen and grabbing the potato. But that was going to take too long, too much extra money. So they just like, what is here that we can use? And it was actually Eddie Murphy's idea to put Damon Wayans in that spot.
Oh, okay.
You don't even need it. He could have just grabbed the banana and just showed up with the banana, maybe. But even Damon Wayans being all sassy, it's something that you remember. And it's something so small and simple.
Yeah. Probably because of the stand-up,
Yeah, they had that stand-up connection back then. They were probably friends.
He's a street cop, He thinks about, I'm going to put in the banana in the...
Yeah, he thinks on the spot.
Yeah.
So as him and the Mija tried to leave for the warehouse, the cops stay behind because they got nanners in their exhaust pipe. The Mija takes them to another warehouse where they see a couple guys bringing in extra bonds. They also find some coffee, which Axel thinks is sus. And then Axel wants to follow these guys to see where they're going. Back at the precinct, Billy starts getting bullied by the nanas because of the nanas. And cut back to Axel where Mija just leaves him at the new warehouse. The security finds him snooping around and he pulls his badge and starts yelling at him and tells him to get a supervisor. And he starts to front as a security checker inspector guy. And he's playing these nerdy white dudes. He's so charming and then he's all intimidating. He's like everything he wants to be. He's a chameleon. He's everything he wants to be whenever he wants to be. People just listen like, oh, okay, because he's doing it with so confidence.
Yeah.
So he got what he needed, and he comes back and jumps into the cop's car. Another more confidence, like, I'm just going to jump into the cop's car that is tailing me. Billy the noob is just thanking him for the food, and they start trying to leveling with each other.
He's kind of like a nicer guy, right?
Yeah.
And Taggart is more like play by the rules, but he's kind of like, oh.
Taggart is the guy that's like disciplining these kind of cops.
Yeah.
So he's not used to it. So he's all smiling, and he's like, all right, let's go somewhere, trust me. And they end up at a titty bar. Hells yeah.
Yeah.
So they actually had a really famous stripper that's the one that's dancing in the back. And she's also the one that recommended the song that's playing.
Okay.
So after some hard dick talking.
Boss dick got to stay limp, right? See, I ain't on duty, so my dick can be hard.
Axel spots two shady dudes that walk into the titty bar, and he devises a plan to take them out. He walks up to one of the guys being all drunk, and that guy pulls out a shotty. Then the other guy pulls the guns out, and he disarms him, and Taggart moves in on the other guy. So they stop the robbery, and they give us one of the best gifts of all time when he does a thumbs up. So they head back to the precinct, and Axel saves the boys from getting their ass chewed out by the lieutenant, or at least he thinks. And the super cop speech that he gives the lieutenant.
They're super cops, and the only thing missing on these guys are capes.
Right before, Eddie Murphy was like tired. He'd been like working his ass off, and he took a sip of coffee. And he don't do any kind of drugs, he said, and he considered coffee a drug. So after taking a sip of coffee, he goes into the super cop's monologue.
Okay.
And if you pay attention to Ashton, he's pinching his face to not laugh. And Reinhold puts his hand in his pocket and starts pinching his thigh really hard to prevent himself from laughing too. They're trying not to laugh. What it did?
What the?
No. So after that whole speech, Taggart fesses up and tells him the truth.
Yes.
And he gains a little bit of respect from the lieutenant, but Axel's like,
It's a perfectly good lie, and it's all right.
The lieutenant takes them both off the Foley case and assigns 2 new cops to Foley, and then Foley sends them coffee and donuts. He starts to mock them about the Nana in the tailpipe again, and he sets out and they tail him to Victor's house.
Do you notice there was a DeLorean?
Oh yeah, there's a DeLorean inside Victor's house.
No, outside.
Outside, but at his house.
Yeah, Parker's front of the house.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right.
Axel, being clever, finds a way to lose the cops by sitting at the last second of a red light. Mm-hmm. And he pulls up to a fancy members only club, but Victor's having lunch. He starts playing a character named Ramon, claiming he's got herpes and that Victor got him to it, so he finds a way to get to Victor.
Yeah.
Why are you gay?
Master improvisation, man.
He gets to Victor and throws Mike across the food table and tells Victor he knows he has something to do with his compa Mikey's murder. And Victor's like, I ain't somebody you mess with, fool. You don't think you know who you're messing with. So soon after, the cops come in and arrest Foley. Lieutenant is fed up, so Axel has no choice but to fess up as to why he's there. Lieutenant, to his credit, actually listens, and Axel claims that Victor's actually a smuggler and he's using the coffee to smuggle drogas. But a big chief shows up, and then the lieutenant gets chewed out and orders to escort Foley back to Detroit, and the charges will be dropped. Mm-hmm. I like that so far. What we've said about Axel Foley is that he's like cool, suave, and improvisational. Mm-hmm. He's not a badass cop.
No.
In the sense of he's not shooting 17 guys down by himself. He does some of that later, but he does it to like a more grounded, believable way. Like all the big, because he's not the Stallones, the Arnolds, the Ben Dams that are better than everybody. It's Eddie Murphy, you know? So he has to use his strengths, and his strength is improv, comedy, his brain. So Victor goes to the Mija friend and starts to ask her about Axel and wants to know where he's staying. So on the way to the airport, Axel convinces Billy to take him to the Mija. Yeah. But it's because there's good behind what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's for a good cause. He's not doing it. He's a cop.
Yeah, he's a cop.
He's doing it. And that's the kind of cops you want in your case. People who give a shit. Mm-hmm. So he convinces Billy to take him to the Mija, where he orders an espresso from Serge.
Can you get my friend espresso?
Do you want to be the lemon twist?
Yeah, sure, if it's no bother.
Yeah.
So the Mija takes them both to the warehouse, where there they find drogas, but they get busted. Then Victor shows up too. Billy out there watching everything and sees that they got Mija. Then Mike goes into Foley's face and says that he killed Mikey. Pinche Mike.
Yeah.
Then Billy sees that they leave And he goes in to help Axel. And even here, when there's a moment for him to fight, he only punches 3 dudes, but it's believable the way they do it. They never overdo the cop thing, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they head over to Victor's house where Taggart meets him, and he's trying to stop him and doing the can, but he simply can't. So he convinces Taggart as well. After he's like, I'm going to shoot you. And he's like, no, you're not. And Taggart buys in so much that he goes into the trunk to get a shotgun just to save the Mija friend. Shit, I would too. I like Billy's little gun. Little PP7.
Yeah.
So them trying to jump over the wall is so unnecessary.
Yeah.
And even he's sitting there laughing at him.
Yeah.
That's great. So the lieutenant figures out that they went to Victor's house and cut back to the boys where they're in the middle of a shootout. Again, even them 3, they're not taking out a bunch of dudes. It was one guy with a machine gun on the top. And then another guy comes out. So it's not 17 dudes. It was 1 or 2 at a time.
Not kind of like Scarface. They
Not
were surrounding the house.
No.
Million guys.
It was only a couple
guns.
dudes. So the lieutenant heads out. Foley heads out to go get the friend. And Billy shows the badge. Pendejo. You're under arrest.
And they get shot. Come on.
So we get to Mike v. Foley. They're running around, chasing around the house. And Foley gets to avenge his compa Mikey. But then Victor pops out and shoots him in the arm.
That's the only blood that we saw, I think.
Yeah, up until then, I don't think there had been much gun. So the cops show up and start helping the dudes outside. The Victor got the Mija as a hostage. The Mija elbows the shit out of him. It almost shoots Axel in the head. And between him and the lieutenant, they light his ass up.
Yeah.
Billy pulls out the badge once again, but this time for reals, and stops all the guys, and they win.
And they win.
The big cheese pulls up and wants Axel arrested, but the lieutenant gives a report on the case, which is 100%, which was 75% bullshit.
Yeah.
There was some truth there. And then the cheese goes to Taggart and is like, is this a real story?
Big Cheese knows because the tire's going to fall.
Yeah, because he did before.
Yeah.
Usually when they do callbacks in movies now, it's predictable. You know that they're going to use that again. Because the movie is filled with crazy shit, there's so many parts like that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that they were going to reuse Taggart folding again.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's hidden with a bunch of other great parts of the movie. So the big cheese buys it, and Axel goes over and asks the lieutenant if he can straighten things up in Detroit. So as he's checking out, the cop compas come to make sure that he actually leaves, and the police department picks up his very expensive bill. Yeah. I wanted to know how much the bill was.
Yeah, me too.
Because he stole 3 robes. He ordered a bunch of room service. Yeah. We know he's broke as shit because they gave him the room to for $250, which is the price of 1 room, which inflated today is $650 a day.
Damn.
So I want to know if he stayed a week or he stayed 10 days at $6,000, but they never said it. It kind of gave me a little money blue balls. So they head over to the titty bar and the movie ends. So what's crazy, douche, is that this movie was written for Sly Stallone.
Really?
Yes.
Well, he was the 80s guy, right?
Yeah. So the Mikey that gets killed would have been his brother.
Okay.
And then the Mija would have been his love interest. Stallone left the project, but because he thinks that audience wouldn't think of him as being a fish out of a water cop. Which is funny. Isn't he a fish out of water in damn Demolition Man a little bit? He's a fish out of water because he's a cop from the past that goes to the future, no?
Which is, well, it's a
fish out of water.
It's in place, but I mean.
But it's a fish out of water. You don't know. They got damn seashells to wipe your ass.
Oh, yeah.
And he also didn't like that it was a comedy. So he felt it didn't suit him.
Oh, okay.
When Sly Stallone left, he took some of the elements to go make Cobra.
Cobra, good boy. Sly. So originally it wasn't meant to be a black guy?
No. Eddie Murphy put the race stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
Then their next option was Mickey Rourke. So the other considerations were Jeff Bridges, James Caan, Billy Crystal, Robert De Niro, Harrison Ford, Richard Gere, Mel Gibson, Gregory Hines, Michael Keaton, Nick Nolte, Al Pacino, Richard Pryor, Dennis Quaid.
Al Pacino?
Yes. Kurt Russell, Arnold, John Travolta, Robin Williams, and Bruce Willis. All these names were considered
Mel Gibson
for the role.
Kinda like Diego Lethal Weapon. Do you think so? Kinda. It's comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Comedy. It's kind of the same vibe. Kinda.
I think I like Billy Crystal because he's unconventional. He doesn't look
pure comedy. Yeah.
even over Robin Williams. Robin Williams is too silly. I feel like Billy Crystal would have been able to toe the line between being a serious and then jokey, because when Murphy's serious, you believe him. You know, he's like, and he's like, listen, there's damn drogas and thing, there's coffee, and he stops with the bullshit. His tone, he almost like whispers when he's talking to make him like be serious. And I feel like Billy Crystal would have been out of all these names,
You think so?
to be able to balance the seriousness and
The comedy.
I think Billy Crystal would have been good. But Eddie Murphy legend, I don't think the movie would have been anything without Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
End up being the perfect choice. What did you think about the movie?
Pretty good.
That's my one. That's it.
No, I really like it, man. I mean, he stuck with me all these years.
For the music.
And Eddie. That kind of 80s movie, you know? Back then it was kind of like that. Almost. But this one is different.
Because of the comedy. And because the comedy lands. A lot of them try to have funny moments. Lethal Weapon tries to have funny moments.
Yeah.
But it's two guys bouncing off of each other. Their dynamics. This is one guy carrying a whole scene.
Yeah, he's a leader.
Doing the whole thing by himself. Even all these years later, even 40 years later, I do believe it's still like on the top cop movies.
It still holds up. I mean, I rewatched it and I watched it back to back, the three. And like you said, I don't difference 1, 2, 3.
They all come together in my brain.
In the one, yeah.
It makes sense because after they showed this to Jerry Bruckheimer and the producers in the studio, immediately they're like, we got to make another one. That's why the second one comes out very shortly after. And then the third one shortly after that. It's a great cop movie all these years later, for sure. You have a fantastic protagonist. It's a fun cast around him that know that he's the star. So instead of trying to overshine him, you help him shine even more and be a compliment to his. And it's an interesting story of a little murder and drugs. Like, it's whatever. It's just a lot of fun. There's a lot of action. It's Eddie Murphy, man. What else you want? But let us know your thoughts of Beverly Hills Cop all these years later. Any and all comments, let us know down below. And while you're down there, if you can like, comment, and subscribe, that'd be awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to always and forever, you do. Douche. Do mine.